let them know. Islam, let them know. Let them know. Moorish MC order, I'm a round table sheet. 7 days in a circle and 52 weeks. Dirty Moors copycat and bite the prophet's speech. I'm L without taking a Hajj like Malik. In a group of solo like Raphael Sadiq. Walking over rappers like stepping over a creek. Exposing you dappers, dressing like Greeks. Showing off cheeks, thong wearing whale freaks. Suck like a leech. I'm the nerd to kick sand on at the beach. Verbally your face I stand on, back to teach. Learn a lesson as the piano soothes your mood. Lyrical weed, beat brain food, you turned God. Applying what I speak, the truth they burn and lie through their teeth. Denationalized, jack for all your supplies and knowledge from the high priest on the mental highs. Bringing you light, giving you sight, close your eyes to pray. Get shackled at night, now they're giving you trite. Tales of ox, feed of pigs and soup. You've been bamboozled, tricked, had and duped. Won't fight your own fight, but you join their troops. Killing others around the world just to stay out the news. Won't fight your own fight, but you join their troops. Killing others around the world just to stay out the news. Let them know. Use the mic to let them know. Let them know. What up, brother Hanif? Use the mic to let them know. This is like Jurassic. They got your birthright. Knowledge is light. They calling you black and you're calling them white. Your name's Mikael and they calling you Mike. Earth shadow is the darkness, they calling it night. Sodom and Gomorrites are called gays and dykes. False education appears real, they calling it fright. Chic on this beat, you're calling it tight. Effects from the roach blunt, calling it heights. With a razor blade on my line, I'm cutting your kites. Rapping blood clot dummies, worried about scuffing the nights. Feminized in tight shirt, showing muscles and ice. Deals, got them acting like the 3 blind mice. Rhyming for nursery, laying clay for Andrew Dice. I'm pro, you're Joe, the beat is spike. Can't take my flow, you hope I ease it right. I keep it coming like food and ackee, peas and rice. No coleslaw or tonic roots, please, no Sprite. 5 cents for a bag, yo, I don't need it, alright. 65, 35, fam, no need to fight. Studio time paid with knowledge, time to leave the mic. Let them know. Use the mic to let them know. Let them know. Use the mic to let them know the truth about nationality and birthright. Let them know.
Agenda to the T, that massive. Ready for the Gideon, Babylon with my shit. We give them what they want, so them want come stash it. We ready for tech back with things and lash it. Unified is the camp, nationality your stamp. When we dealing with the land, we talk attaching this man. So who the white man, who the black man? When the law was written by the brown hand, inspiration from a universal realm to distort the realness and take the film. Keeping world under lock and key. Yo, cameras everywhere watching me. Check it, claim a right to be who I am. Public notice from seas to the land. Who's ready to stand? I am impropria persona. To hell with the fiat and the fake money launderers. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It's time for the people to wake to injustices. Under contract, mind for combat. Natural law, enemies got to fall back. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It's time for the people to wake to injustices. Under contract, mind for combat. Natural law, enemies got to fall back.
Use the mic to let them know. Let them know. Use the mic to let them know the truth about nationality. Bring them back. What up, Prime Minister? On Earth days, the God hard, smoke weed and call it high day. Roach blunts on New Year's Eve keeps me off the highway. Seeing drunk drivers crash landing in a ditch the way it shines. He just some days on that. 1,000 a pop, plus the tree top, the rag top, not for his life but for the car. I saw this fat drop to his knees praying. Blacks have messed up priorities. 34 plus years old telling you to sitting on keys. Telling women to drop it like garbage on the corner. Or shake it like salt and pepper, we're here in church tomorrow. Praying for white Jesus, your breath smells like gin Seagrams. You're bathing in cause he died for your sins. If Jesus is a Jew, why does he have a Greek name? I'm asking you, why does the Pope wear a Jewish yarmulke? Things sound strange, this world is messed up. In diamonds and 2 earrings, black men are dressed up. Walking on the ancestors' blood and say it's a red carpet. I'll come around here playing your big and become a target. I'll bring it back to those days when we would threaten DJs, saying they're from Toronto but not giving no airplay. Unless you're a rude boy speaking in Bacardi slang. No matter how much you email, they reply hardly, man. On November 06, I received an email about too much backlog. They didn't receive my tracks, but it shouldn't take that long. It's not 2-7, I haven't heard crime. But I heard Pretty Ricky talk sex about 50 times. I heard booty 20 plus times. Rims and censorships on every track. These slaves talk about so much whips. Who wants to be a blood? A sellout or a crip. Sign the dotted line when you rhyme so you can rep that shit. That's what they tell you. To hell they'll send you. Dumb black energy is on the devil's menu. Cause you think it's physical, but it's all spiritual. No snows till January, crap off with rituals. Shines with Khalid Muhammad holding the AK. You would think I'm coming clean when my mind's sprayed. If I wanted to be with thought power, I say, with eyes closed in meditation, abracadabra or ashe. It's been years since I've been to a party. Drunk off chartreuse or coke with the party. Speaking the bounces and slurs, tripping over my words. Calling girls chicken, but still flip cops the bird. Stumbling around this concrete jungle. No more time, I took the oath and swore to be humble. Hey yo, I got them sick thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them hot thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them sick thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them hot thoughts to make you rise drastically. Hey yo, we bust the vortex like concrete to boot vortex. Listening to Floor 93.5 just gets me more vexed. But it's something I must deal with, like slavery and whites. Raping the black woman and man in the day or night. Stomping on babies to break truth mentally, they rape you today. It wasn't physical so far back in the day. That was only 500 plus years ago. Morris Sherman, not Zulu like Mutu Alfredo. Scarborough, repping Scarborough since the Bago. Call me Negro and I turn charger from San Diego. No matter what your name is, you could be aimless. When you know your learning self, our time is ageless. Our spiritual self is shapeless. But on the shelf, you got some hook nose like God outside of yourself. So-called or proclaimed by Nicaean picture. I'll get on our shoulders of warfield marshals and councils of bishops. Enough, that's just the sight of us that'll make you hiccup. Just like unsophisticated driving us behind trucks pickup. When I show slave pictures, stomach acid, you're gonna skate up. Make the devil drop to his knees and the God lift up. Hey yo, I got them sick thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them hot thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them sick thoughts to make you rise drastically. I got them hot thoughts to make you rise drastically.
Peace. Islam. Tuesday, you already know. Canaanland Moors. Tuesday. YouTube.
Islam.
Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Islam, Brother Yusuf.
Islam, Brother Sheik. Islam to all the Moors.
If any Moors out there, if you got anything to share while we're streaming, feel free to hit the link. Feel free to hit the link. And you're good to go. So, as usual, it's damage control. Because it's always something. I don't know how come people just don't stop talking. Just stop talking. Stop talking. Because people are getting caught up and not, again, putting out the everything, being very vague. It's not time for vaguities. It's time for specificity.
And the timing is pivotal. I don't know what to call this, brother. I don't like what do you call him? He's not just one thing. He's not just in a box. This brother right here, world changer. We're talking author, man of the people, boots on the ground, LA superhero, LA legend, the real life Black Superman.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a new one. We talking about a brother right here of many gifts, but a purpose walker nonetheless. This brother right here is the author of Message to the Millennials, which I'm gonna go ahead and call the #1 bestseller right now. I'm gonna call it before that. You gotta understand what's going on. This is my brother, your brother right here. He goes by the name of Rizza Islam.
Yes, sir.
You know, in this Corona season, so I would shake my brother's hand.
Man,
so you know, everybody don't want to shake hands these days. So you know, but we here.
Yes, we right here.
My brother, Rizza Islam.
I'm honored, brother.
You're in the dojo right now, brother.
Oh, man, come on.
That's what I call it. You're in the dojo right now.
Because mental sparring,
we
verbal
get
sparring.
busy in here mentally, bro.
It's
different. It's different. How you feeling, brother?
I'm magnificent.
Come on now,
brother. I'm honored, man. I'm just to be your brother. You know,
yes, sir.
That LA Superman. That
yeah.
And just so everybody knows, this is just about getting busy with our brothers on, you know, this intellectual platform, you know, that they say that this is about building and us, you know, bringing our ideas and stuff like that. So we have some ideas that we want to present just because they weren't mentioned, you know, and some of them, you know, might be critical, ones that should have been in the conversation, but, you know, you can't make a horse drink. You could just lead him to the water.
Kind of hit me. But I'll just say, you know, Superman was a black man.
Come on,
I'll just go ahead and say my brother's right on point and factual with everybody. We all
There's a lot more.
Yeah, just real quick. Superman was not a black man. He was a Moor. And his name was Kal-El. That's not a black, that's a Moorish title. Even though we know that's, you know, a cartoon figure or whatever. But his title was Kal-El. And he was a Moor.
Interesting that you bring that up. Because we saw saw an article here on Revolt talking about 9 gems from Rizza Islam's Drink Champs episode. 9 gems that they pulled out. And one of the gems that they pulled out was his belief that Superman was a black man. That's what Rizza had to say on Revolt TV. Rizza continues to blow minds by making the claim that Superman was a black man, pointing to various pieces of evidence that give this take validity. It's all truth, bro, he says. Superman is a black man. Number 1, his name is Kal-El. El is a Hebrew name. He gets his power from the sun, which means you must have melanin. Carbon 12, you must be black. He had the S on his chest, but the original drawing was an upside-down pyramid with a snake going through it in Egypt. You have all these different facts that connect it. He also was faster than a speeding bullet. The comic book that was written at the time during Hitler's race and Jesse Owens, the 2 brothers, Simon and Schuster, fashioned his speed after Jesse Owens because he beat Adolf Hitler. And in the comic, it was Superman defeating Adolf Hitler. Now, it's highly unlikely that Superman, I mean, it could be possible that he's a black man, but it's highly unlikely that he's a black man, just because his name's Kal-El. And if his name's Kal-El, and then they're saying that's a Hebrew name, and Hebrew's a language, then they still didn't tell you anything yet about Superman. Still playing games with you. And to go further, just to put this on the record, don't forget that Superman renounced his U.S. citizenship. So he's not 14th Amendment like you guys. He went back to his nationality. If he renounced his U.S. citizenship, then that means he went back to his nationality.
Right. No longer Clark Kent.
Right? No Clark Kent, none of that. Not even no Superman. Right? Give it back. I intend to speak before the United Nations tomorrow and inform them that I am renouncing my U.S. citizenship. I am tired of having my actions construed as instruments of U.S. policy. Why? Because all of his actions were good. But then they're not good. And then he's representing them, which makes him look like a clown. So what did he do? Renounce his U.S. citizenship. He's Superman. He could grab the president and strangle him. He could I-beam the president in half. He could sit up there and call himself president and everybody vote for him. He didn't do any of that. He renounced his U.S. citizenship. Went back to his nationality. Remember, he went back to his nationality. Why? Because he was born Kal-El. Just like Noble Drew Ali told you that you're born a Moor. And you're a descendant of people that live in a certain jurisdiction. All right, you're born a Moor. What did he do? Did he go fill out some naturalization or whatever to say he's... No, he just told him, hey, I'm renouncing my U.S. citizenship.
Yep.
He didn't go fill out no papers with some dirty Moors. Go fill out some naturalization papers to be a Moor. He didn't do that. Why? Because he has nationality. Even if his chest emblem was a pyramid with a snake going up, that's still North Africa, which is the land of the Moors.
They probably wouldn't let him back to Krypton if he ain't changed, proclaimed his nationality back. You want to come back home? Yeah. Well, you got to get rid of that corporate, that slave title.
You got to.
And then we already know, once you look up, talking about Hebrew is a Greek word. So
it's not willing to research.
That alone is still tricky.
Yeah.
Because now, if Hebrew is a Greek word, how are you saying Superman is Greek? That's
not
why
willing to research. They're not willing to write things that we've seen.
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's why I was that's why it's tricky, the whole thing. With them saying that it's Hebrew, then when you look up Hebrew and it tells you it's a Greek word, that's fraud. You know what I mean? Like that's not de jure. You still, like you said, still didn't tell you anything. Still didn't tell you anything. If you're saying Superman is a black man and then say it's a Hebrew, which you just said was a language, but then when you look up what is Hebrew, the word itself, it's a Greek word.
It's
Grand Sheik.
it's a lot more.
You know, our ancestors and brothers before us and sisters before sisters before us actually get killed over. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like, and so for me, I can only imagine how many people look at what the type of work that you do and they'd be like, damn, is he afraid? Is he scared of the types of things that he jumping into? Is he scared of the depths that he going in? And I know the answer to that, but just for the individuals out there, just kind of bring more clarity to the idea of being fearless behind walking in the type of work that you're doing.
I can tell you this, brother. We've had multiple examples who have come before us who have done the same thing in their respective capacity.
Yeah.
You know, everybody down from the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you go all the way down to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, who is still living today, fighting as the example of a living testimony that if you walk in fearlessness with God, standing on truth, with integrity, you will make for everybody down from the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you go all the way down to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, who is still living today.
Yeah. You find this list is kind of short? Maybe one person? You feel maybe maybe two people. Maybe two people. His list might be short, maybe by two people. But it's real interesting. The reference points used. Now, as Moors, we know that we give honors to Marcus Garvey because he's the forerunner of the Moorish movement. He's not just some black guy to Moors. He is an integral part of what it is that we're about. As Moors, as Moorish Americans. Now, after Marcus Garvey, you can't just jump to Elijah Muhammad. You can't. Because you're talking about having integrity and all this stuff, but then you're jumping from Marcus Garvey to Elijah Muhammad. Marcus Garvey's late 20s. Elijah Muhammad's mid-30s. Nothing else was happening in between that time? You have anything missing from that, from your numbers, bro?
Yo, it's real weird how they love to just skip the prophet. They just love to just skip them. Love to just skip them. But the dude, he just talked about Farrakhan, but even though he did it tricky, he did put the prophet up there. So they know who the prophet is.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't know. They know exactly who Noble Drew Ali is. They know exactly who he is. And where's their feathers at? Yeah, they used to wear feathers. If you go watch Baby Boy, I told you, if you go watch Baby Boy, there's a scene in there with the brother selling bean pies and he got his fez on.
Why'd they do that for?
I forgot the producer of that movie. I forgot his name, man. The Moor with the bald head, I think, with the glasses. What's his name? But he produced it, so you know, if he knows, then and it wasn't no problem. Nobody never said nothing then when the movie first came out.
No debating? No why'd you put that guy in there with the fez on?
Go ahead.
No, I was saying there was nobody questioned him about why that guy with the fez on in the movie?
Right. None of that. None of that. None of that. None of that.
Yeah.
He asked Tyrese's boy if he wanted some bean pies. He just shunned them off like he was all set. Brother had a fez on.
Yeah, John Singleton. John Singleton.
John Singleton, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Like, skip over Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? The amount of times that they say Muhammad, peace be unto him, or whatever. The amount of times they say that. The amount of times they say Jesus Christ, or whatever. The amount of times that they say honors to the messenger, Elijah Muhammad, and all that stuff, they should be saying honors to Noble Drew Ali. But you can't be giving Elijah Muhammad all this praise like he's a Muhammad or something like that, and not give honors to Noble Drew Ali. At one time, Elijah Muhammad was following reincarnated Prophet Noble Drew Ali. One time, Elijah Muhammad was following that. He was following a guy that used to call himself Noble Drew Ali reincarnated. How are you skipping over Noble Drew Ali? It's blatantly disrespectful. Because you claim that you want unity and the Moors are our brothers and all that stuff, and you don't even mention Noble Drew Ali, even just to put his name out there, just because you know the people aren't going to hear it anyways. So why not just put the name out? But nah, playing around. Islam, you have anything to add?
Yeah, just real quick. What happened to Elijah's? What happened to his day? This same thing. What happened to his fez? What happened to his bay? Because he was known as Elijah Pool Bay before the Elijah Muhammad. He had his bay. What happened to the bay? What happened to the fez? Like that. And then, because Prophet said, if you're not gonna, and I'm shortening it, paraphrasing, if you're not gonna honor what he's doing, turn in your turban and fez and go back to the state of mind he found you in. And that's what he did, and then did it to a whole other group of people too.
Mm-hmm.
That was just because I'm like his brother, I think it was his brother, Elijah's brother, did the whole video. My favorite video. He goes under the thing, comes up with the fez on. I asked Ben X. I sent him the video and asked him, "Yo, where's Elijah's? Well, where's the Nation of Islam fez at?" He tells me to go read his book, and I'm like, why would I read the book? Like, it's either he's gonna tell me he took it off because he was being a dirty Moor, or he don't know nothing about it, which is a lie. Like, we know he knows.
Has to know.
What would be the other?
Has to know. There's no way you don't know. We're not playing any little games like you don't know. You know, all you people know.
Fighting.
I don't understand how they skip over 1913. It just really bothers me how they just keep skipping over. He just listed
Calm and
all of
easy.
these
Calm
people.
and easy too, huh? Calm and easy. No stress. Just a little skip. You know, which even shows how messed up it is, because it should be a boulder they have to try to skip over. It should be a mountain that they could try to skip over. There should be no way that they could pass without mentioning Noble Drew Ali. That's how it should be. And if we didn't have traitors on our side, that's how it would have been.
Yep.
That everybody would have been standing up for Noble Drew Ali. Forget what you say that you're reincarnated. What are you talking about? What do you mean can't come in the temple because my tie is not red? Like, what are you talking about? Right? They bastardized the movement. But remember, that doesn't fall on the movement. Noble Drew Ali told these Moors that the temple is perfect. You can't mess that up. It's going to mess you up. And look at all the people that are messed up because they try to play around with the temple. Look at all of them. Messed up. Playing around with what Noble Drew Ali brought. Still playing around with what he brought. Trying to put him in the background.
That's why I love the letters so much that he wrote. The letters to be read in every meeting.
Yeah.
Because he was telling you then that they was doing it in front of his face. Same bashing they doing now, they was doing then. He had to send a letter.
Alive. When he was in the flesh, they were doing that. That should tell you something. That should make it clear. And again, it's not just them. We're going across the board that this is happening. People denying Noble Drew Ali like he did something wrong or he did something not for the people or something. Everything that you read of Noble Drew Ali is for the nation. He wasn't doing this for some club thing. He wasn't doing this for fame and nobility and popularity. He was doing this because he saw the level of the mind state of our people. And he had a remedy to help them out of that mind state. That once they get out their mind state, everything is done. Their conditions are going to change automatically, especially if it's done en masse. Right? Social distancing. What's that? Keep you away from each other. Forget, so they're doing that so they could read your face with the satellite or whatever like that. What are you talking about? They've been reading you from your phone. They don't need no whatever to do that. Cells coming together is a problem. And the cells were coming together all over the world. And they needed to hush that talk of nationality and nationhood and whatever. There's other places where, they were just being themselves, the Aboriginal and Indigenous people. Hey, we don't like what you're doing. Whatever it is, we're going to do something about it. We're not even going to, all we know is we're all doing it under, this is our nation. There's always separation with them from the Moors, as if the Moors aren't down with unity. We know that unity is nationality. We're trying to put this to our people. Our people are looking at it like Moors are trying to convince them of some group they need to join. You got to join this temple in order for you to be saved or whatever. That's not what this is about. Brother Yusuf.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you saw that question. You watching the thing right now?
No.
Okay. There's a question in the chat. I figure I'll ask you since you're studious more and all that. One of the Moors asked, who first brought Islam to Americas? Was it white Arab?
Okay, right? Islam. Okay, now, all right, I gotta fix the question first, because now when they're asking white Arab, so now we have to apply that, like, because we know in law, free white person include Moorish inhabitants. So when he's speaking of anything pertaining to white, they're talking about Moorish descent. People who are on this class right now, in this class, labeled Negro, Colored, Black, African American, etc. Those are the white people, or white Arab, because we're taught by Master Teacher Todd that Arab means noble. So when he says the white Arab who brought Islam to America, that would be us, according to law. Now, if he means connotatively, the first Moor to bring Islam to America would be Noble Jew Ali, which is the same thing. But no, pale people who speak Arabic did not come here and bring Islam here. Actually, it even predates Noble Jew Ali, actually, because you can even do more research and you'll find out that basically everything started here and then went over there and taught them in ancient history. Because you'll see that the Olmecs were practicing Sufism here, and that's more science. So there's a lot of ways we can answer this question. You know what I mean? Like, but there's back to the research, because even in the question, you can tell like people aren't doing a lot of research because they still thinking modernly what we see now. That's what was happening anciently. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. That's ecclesiastical thinking. The Moors here, who they call Olmecs, were practicing Sufism here, which is the true Islam, which is more science. Sufism deals with meditation, science of the breath, etc. And that's what they were originally doing here. And then bring that over there. And because it was every ancient culture was practicing the same thing, more science. So we didn't bring it here. It was just here. It was just already here. It was already here. And now we're studying it now and realizing that all of that stuff was already here, man. All that stuff that's why we always say that this is Morocco here. Because all of that ancient stuff that we read in history was happening here. It was already here. We keep thinking all that stuff, that's modern, ecclesiastical thinking. Islam, Grand Sheep.
Islam, more.
Testimony that if you walk in fearlessness with God, standing on truth with integrity, you will make it through. And even if they come after you physically and take you out physically, your spirit is just going to jump in everybody else.
Come on.
So why the hell am I going to sit and be afraid? The sisters have been great examples. You have multiple sisters, from Asata Shakur to Angela Davis. You have them all the way from the top down. There is no reason to live if you're not truly living for your people.
Come on.
And that includes, again, everybody else. If you're not willing to stand on truth, then what are you doing today? It doesn't make any sense anymore. If you want to live just so you can live, party, and die, okay, then you go do that. But the vast majority of the people need help. They need solutions. They want to know what's going on. There is a tyrannical government that becomes stronger the more it makes other people weaker. It becomes healthier the more it makes others sicker.
The same guy who we got video footage of him saying that we're descendants of Moors and all of that. That this is Northwest Africa and all of that. Like he said it. When he was up there with Brother Jamal, he said it. He said this on stage with a Moor. A Moor was there, and he acknowledged the fact that we're all Moors, and we're descendants of the ancient Moors. This is Morocco, the Maghreb, Al Asqa. He said all of this on stage.
Could you just repeat that again one more time?
Rizza Islam was on stage with a Moor, and I think they had the event in so-called New York, and it was a bunch of other people up on stage, and he was up. Him, Brother Ben X was sitting right next to him. Brother Jamal was up there, and a couple other people. One of the Pills, I think, was there, and a bunch of people in the audience. And Rizza Islam said on stage in front of everybody, on camera, it's out there right now, that we are all Moors. We're descendants of the ancient Moors. This is Morocco, the Maghreb Al Asqa, and he was up there saying it. He told the truth. Ben X was sitting right next to him, looking mad, but Rizza Islam, that was the first time I ever seen one of them tell the truth.
And remember,
because the Moor was there.
And remember, we're just, this is just an open discussion with our brothers. You know what I mean? They recorded before we got there, so we're just doing, our little part that we didn't get in there because, they never asked the Moors to be on their platform. So.
The more it pushes people into poverty. So if you understand this dynamic, you know what's going on, you got to make a decision. Help these women, these men, these children, or just shut the hell up and sit down.
Facts.
Really, because I don't have any children.
Get out the way.
Come on, bro. And
Facts.
so, I can't allow that to happen. And of course, the example that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan sets for us demonstrates that, look, you can do this. It's not going to be easy now, but you can do this. If you choose to, if you decide to stand up for something that is greater than yourself, God will back you, brother.
Yeah,
I literally am a testimony of that thus far. I'm still here now.
Yeah.
Where I go tomorrow is Allah's, Allah's will, and I'm not tripping either way.
Yeah, you ain't going nowhere, bro. You're a national treasure. You got to understand what's going on.
Come on. Come on.
You got to understand that. I agree with
this is boy. Good.
That's the closest they're gonna say anything national. They're gonna call him a national treasure. Anything close to they mention in national, it has to do with in a connotative way, not denoting a true national. You have to say it in a cliche way. That's the only time I was just like, come on, man, like stop playing. And when I was listening to it, you could tell Rizza got tripped up because he said the word national, and then he said national treasure, and his brain clicked it in like, oh, okay, because he thought he was going there. I could see he got tripped up because he knows. We seen the paperwork with him going to those so-called courts, practicing Moorish practice. He was in there asking for jurisdiction and all of that. That's Moorish. Where do you get that from? But not one mention of noble duality, not one mention of nationality, not one mention that we're not black. None of that. None of that. None of that. And yeah, I said earlier too, Banshee, that they didn't ask any more to get on the platform. It's on that platform, so this is why we're doing it now to answer some of those questions. In my opinion, what I noticed, a lot of the reasons why they won't let Moors on their platform is because once the Moor goes on there, because it has been a couple, they'll let them more on their platform, but after the Moor is gone, they have to go back to being black, and that feels kind of funny. They don't like that because you got to keep trying to get the people to watch your videos. Got to keep because you can't, because once you put a more on there, that's all you should have on there for the rest of your shows.
Right.
Because those are the only
Right.
people who are trying to help.
Yeah, on a real level. On a real level.
Right.
Everybody's trying to help,
like,
but on a real level, only Moors are helping on the level that could actually do some good for the people in the long term. You know, we're not talking fixer-upper help. We're talking about long-term, get our people moving in the right direction. Good, Mark.
No, just, and yeah, but just, that was my whole thing with, they would just have to continue to keep putting more on their platform, and that's not what is going to get them their likes. That's not what's going to get them views, because people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that.
Truth is too
They
stern.
don't. Yep.
Truth is
Every
too stern.
guru, whoever tells you at the end, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear what makes them feel jolly inside, what makes them feel happy. They want to clap. They don't want to go do no work.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they up there. They're all good preachers. And another, they know everybody's sitting at home, tuning in. You know, they still going on their campaign, passing the plate around at the end. But we need, you know, donate to the channel. That's the plate getting passed around at the end. Because they didn't do anything. There was no remedy for nothing. There's no remedy for anything right now. He didn't say a remedy for anything right now. How to keep your estate. Nothing. Nothing. Just Superman was a black man. That's what he told y'all. What that do? What that do? That's why, and that's why I say, if they bring more on there, only thing you could do, that more you bring on there, who laid out the remedy, he would have to come on there every day now.
Mm-hmm.
He got to come on there every day. Every day. And they can't have that. They can't. It destroys their whole platform, the whole thing. Because their thing is to keep the people oohing and eyeing.
Yeah, the feel good knowledge of self.
Yep. They just want their highlight realms. That's all they want to watch. They just want to see highlights. No remedy. They just want to clap and be amazed. Oh, that was deep. You still black. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing.
Yeah, let's see how far more they go.
I think a lot of people are not in tune spiritually of what they're walking in.
Yes.
And so it's very easy for the average person or the person that's just not spiritually in tune or connected to what they're doing to understand that you're backed by something deeper and more powerful than you can even imagine. So I think that's super dope. I want to talk about the book, the inspiration behind it, and just kind of what's the ultimate message that you're looking to get out to the millennials.
Yes, sir. Message to the millennials was inspired, and man, even if you flip it on the back, you'll see those three men on the back that inspired it. And if you hear the name of it, if you're thinking, man, I've heard that name or a name that's similar, Message to the Millennials, you are referring to Message to the Black Man in America. That book, Message to the Black Man, is what inspired Message to the Millennials. And of course, that book was written by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, bringing us close to who God truly is versus who the devil is, bringing us back to the knowledge of ourselves, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the devil, the knowledge of the time, what must be done, explaining and really giving you a clear understanding of exactly what is going on, who you are, who God is, and who you are in relationship to God, and what your purpose is on this planet. That book is phenomenal. It is the book that was being held by over 2 million hands at the Million Man March in 1995. It is the same book that has inspired consciousness across the board, across this country and the world. So this book is a direct correlation as far as the messaging, but it's specifically to the millennials, to this generation.
Why is that? Why
because this generation happens to be the most ignorant but we have the easiest access to information.
Come on.
We can Google anything. We can find out anything. All we need is the right guidance as to what we should Google to find. So this is targeting us to give us an overview of multiple things that are going on, multiple ways we are being targeted, but multiple avenues by which we can access solutions to rectify each area that they are using to target us. It's a lot, man. I made it look real simple and light.
I love it.
But
I love
it's
the
a
cover
lot
too,
of
with
heavy.
the people in the
Man.
back
Come on,
backing
bro.
you. It's
Come
facts.
on, bro.
It's facts, man.
You know.
You got that look in your eye, like, look, bring that shit on.
Man,
I ain't
look,
about to sit here and play with y'all.
Look, and that picture, by the way, that picture of me is when I was on the steps of the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
I feel like I've seen that picture.
Oh, yeah, at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March.
Come on.
So I was at a Million Man March.
Come on
the steps of the Capitol, brother, and I was looking at the ocean of men and women, over 1 million people again. I said, oh, nah. We need to do something about this, brother. So this is directly to millennials, but indirectly to everyone else.
Love it.
And you know, it goes over a lot of information, but I knew that the government was coming after freedom of speech more now than ever.
You know, this is another one that's annoying, that there is a possibility they might not know. But the fact that in the beginning he called the government tyrannical, to now just come back and lazily say the government implies everything's all right with them. Implies what they're doing is legitimate. Implies that they're in charge. Now remember, these people are in the background with nationality either in their mindset, or they have papers or cards. They can say the government like that because they know they have backing. They know that they're going to go to court, say their whatever, and then they're going to get out on bond. Just like certain people did. They get out on bail. Obviously, they don't want you in there. And the only people that they don't want in there are Moors. The Moors who are studious Moors have had that situation. The Moors who have active Moors have had that situation. Get kidnapped, they take you in there, they play a little game as if, you know, they got you for something. And then they let you go on your own recognizance. Whether they let you go from the court, whether they let you go out the back door of someplace. Because they've been tired of seeing us Moors. So no.
Yep, that's what he told me. That's exactly what he told me.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of you Moors. Oh, okay.
Right? They're not the government. Don't let them tell you mistakenly. Don't let them fool it to you. Don't let them say somebody's a government and you're not the government. But you're making claims that you got some type of black power and melanin and all this, but you don't have your own government. Moors, we have our own government. It's called self-government. That's common law. We're Aboriginal Indigenous. That's just what it is. That's Moors. There's other people that claim Aboriginal, but they don't exercise like Moors do. They're way more passive than passive Moors are passive.
I just don't get how you get to call them government, but behind closed doors you're challenging jurisdiction. I just don't get that.
That's how you know it's a sham. Has to be a con.
Like, that's incredible.
Has to be.
You just called them government. But I look at your paperwork and you're challenging jurisdiction. Like, how are we doing this? What's going on?
And that's the perfect question. What's going on? What is going on? You know? Because if we're gonna see like now we know they only do this to Moors. Right? We know they only do this to Moors. But when you got article talking about social media soldier Riza Islam and all this, and then in the article they're talking about arrest came after Islam's were late to court, presented sovereign citizen claims. What do you mean presenting sovereign citizen claims? And it's not just one article that's talking like this. A multiple amount of articles are talking like this. The only sovereign citizen, whatever that they could be talking about, is that they knew about their nationality and their birthrights. With sovereign citizen, if you see a brother and then they say, oh yeah, that's sovereign citizen, know that they were exercising some Moorish nationality and birthrights. And they're labeling people as sovereign citizen to muddy the water. They're labeling sovereign citizens to cause confusion. Because if it's brothers and sisters that you see did something or got into something, and then it came out in the news that they went to court and all that, and in the news stuff or the articles or whatever, they're talking, oh yeah, they were in there, they were saying sovereign citizen, and they were saying that the United States not a government and all this. No, those people were studying some Moorish nationality and birthrights.
Yep.
And sovereign citizen is a code word. Sovereign citizen is a label word. In order for them to know that they're dealing with a Moor, to deal with them accordingly. And again, like we said, he got bond, so they dealt with him accordingly.
That's crazy. Calling them the government now.
Not the government.
Not the government.
It's not willing to research. They're not willing to write things that we've seen, are
to millennials, but indirectly to everyone else.
Love it.
And it goes over a lot of information, but I knew that the government was coming after freedom of speech more now than ever. And they were looking at ways to get rid of anything dealing with conspiracy, anything dealing with the government doing things that would harm the citizens, meaning they're going to take down videos from YouTube. They're going to take down articles from the internet. They're going to take down pages of people who are journalists, independent researchers, whistleblowers from organizations, medical, political, etc. They stated that this is something that they're going to do with the net neutrality laws and different things. So I said, if we don't put something, if I don't put something, okay, you have to come at it from the perspective of responsibility. If I don't do this, what can potentially happen? So I said, I need to put it in a physical form, almost in a manual even, for anybody who's in middle school, high school, college, so that they can have something physically tangible, read it, and say, okay, this is what is going on, this is what I should do, etc., etc. Because they can't take this away from you right now, not yet. Okay, so put it in that physical form, and that way it will last forever.
Now, obviously, the government is always up to no damn good. The way I view it, you know what I'm saying? They've never really had our best interest as a people. It's always been a very capitalistic mindset behind every move that's made. It's always money driven, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
But in my observation, my experience of just living, you know, now what's the ultimate message that you're trying to get across from a governmental perspective? Make sure that the people are aware of what in regards to the government. What's kind of the ultimate message behind that?
One, the ultimate message is we need to establish our own.
There we go.
That's the first thing.
Can you say that one more time?
Absolutely. The ultimate message is we
came
need
in
to establish our
1913.
own.
Say again more.
Prophet came in 1913.
1913. Brought us our own, didn't he?
Ben brought us our own.
Okay.
Ben did it. Ben did it. But some of his leaders and his organization who were around back then helped take down that movement, take down that nation that was getting risen back. It was Dirty Morris who helped take that down. But they say 3 of them took it to the vote and said you can have whatever you want.
Have whatever you want.
Now we're living. This is where Moors are now. This is where we're at now.
Because of that.
Because of it.
Yep. Because of that.
That's when he was talking about the research. Oh, you can research, and I'm like, yeah, research it all. But you guys pick and choose what stuff you want to research, and then want to pick and choose when we bring up stuff that we shouldn't be researching that, or the people aren't ready for that. Like, which one is it? Should we research it, or the people aren't ready for it?
Yeah.
Like, cause every time Moors come around, and to me, I don't understand how we're not ready for it. When again, the prophet came in 1913.
Mm-hmm.
How are we not ready now? We're not ready now. Prophet came in 1913. It's so-called 2020.
Yeah. If anybody needs to get in, if you got anything to add, just hit the link, the StreamYard link.
Okay, that was my thing. The foundation, because a lot of what he's asking the government about with him saying the government and the whole questioning back again, it's the foundation. And my thing is everything is this inquisitional practices, Moors against the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't acknowledge the foundation, they can keep playing this big, they never had anything good for our people. And no, what do you mean? Europeans love the Moors. They loved the Moors. Love us.
No questions asked.
None. They loved being underneath the Moors, all of that. That came out of their own mouth. But again, foundation. They're not acknowledging where is this all stemming from. And like they said, you should do the research. It comes from the Spanish Inquisition. The Dumb Verses, Roman Pontifex. That's what they need to be studying, because that's what is being pushed still to this day.
That was like one of the Moors was telling me yesterday. They do tint work, tinting cars or whatever. So I don't know if they had a client that went to pick up parts or whatever. Some European sees him with his locks and all that stuff. Oh, so you're Rastafarian or whatever that is. Like, no, I'm a Moor. Like, you're a Moor? It's like, yo, I never met a Moor before. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm meeting a Moor. Starts running down the history of the Moors to the Moor, the Moor was like feeling messed up because he was telling him stuff he didn't even know.
Right. Yep.
About his own stuff. You know?
Yep.
Conversation wouldn't have went like that if he said, yeah, I'm a Rastafarian guy. Dude was amped up that the brother knew that he was a Moor. He was amped up. He was like, you know? How do you know?
Yep. That's the same thing with the year when I went back home to visit so-called Georgia, and I told you about that green sheet. The European lady, she's probably in her 60s, comes over with her little fanny pouch, visor, hat, sunglasses on, and she sees me, comes right up to me. Oh, what kind of crown is that? And I told her it was my Moorish headdress, and she was like, "Oh, can I take a picture with you?" And I was like, "But this, you know, you could take a picture with me, but it was cool." But the thing was, I wasn't so surprised yet until stuff started. Like when she gave my brother the camera, he didn't have his fez on. Like she treated him like nothing. Like, "Oh, just take this picture." And then, okay, now when she came to me, right, to take the picture, I'm thinking, you know, we're just gonna take the picture. Okay, you know how you're late, like your Moabites, if you were to take a picture, she would come underneath you, like, and put, like, you know, because you guys are together.
Yeah.
That's how she was holding me. She was holding me. She put her arms around my waist and squeezed, and was like, I was like, whoa, looking at her like, okay, you know what I mean? And she was like, I'm taking this picture, like, and I was like, wow, man, like, you're just going crazy. But my dad, I had just visited him. He never seen me with my headdress or nothing like that because he lives out there. So I'm telling him the science and everything. So when he sees, and he's country, so he's, you know, they still got that yes ma'am, yes sir mentality, you know, when they see Europeans. So when he seen her take a picture with me, he was in awe.
Yeah.
He was like, what's going on? What they doing now? He's so country, right? So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, man, I try to tell you. And he was like, man, I ain't never seen nothing like that. My pops was amazed.
Yeah.
All of this happening, all of this. But something else too. I've never had any Moors or unconscious Moors come up to me and ask to take a picture with a Moor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like never. Never. Always Europeans coming right up to me. Two little European girls came out of the what's the store called? Where all the travelers go? Like the shopping area where all the travelers go. They came out of those two. It was two of them came running out of the store.
Yeah.
Giggling. Can we take a picture with you? Can we take a picture with you? I was like, all right. And I knew, like, wherever your parents are inside, they told you to come out here.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you can go ask the Moors. I was just wondering, like, where are your parents?
Yeah.
There was two little European girls just come running out the store, running right up to me. Can we take a picture with you? Can we take a picture with you? And I was like, wow, this is all crazy. This is all crazy.
You're gonna go out to the street and see a Moor. You're gonna go out and see a Moor, yo. Mom, I saw a Moor. Yep, I bet you did. I bet you did.
Yep.
It's Doctor.
They know.
Oh, go ahead, Moor. Go ahead.
No, because they know. They absolutely know. All of because that's Reggie. You know how I tell you I get my books from the thrift store? Like, all my books come from the thrift store, and I know they're coming from European libraries.
Yeah.
Like, and I got Moors in Spain. The Weller J. Hall book, that was in the thrift store for $1.
Yeah. $1.
That was it's almost 700 pages of straight history of the Moors from 1776 to 1956. He's going in. That was in some European's library. It was his, like, a gift to him. Like, it was like, to my brother such and such. You know, like, it was a gift to him about us. Gave him a book about our history. Why are they? Come on. And I could just imagine. I'm like, okay, so what else did he have that he's given him? And that'd be a whole other thing to me too. Before I even read the book, I'm already on a whole other journey. Just because I'm reading what the Europeans wrote in the book about us, you know, or to see, you know, that they're even when getting the Bible, you know what I mean? Like getting Bibles from tag sales and them telling who the dark-skinned people were in the Bible. You know, getting it from a European lady's tag sale. She was like 89 years old.
Yeah.
Gave me a Bible from 1887. 1887, all the pages in it marked up, everything talking about the Moabites or the black people, and I was like, me and my boy be going crazy over that Bible. And the Bible says made with Morocco, made with Moroccan, like not made in Morocco, made with Moroccan. I was like, yo, this is amazing.
Yeah, those are the signs. Those are the signs that you just know Allah sent those.
Right.
Those are the signs where you know, like, yeah, that's that one came higher than Noble Drew Ali.
Yep. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff be bugging me out, man.
Yeah. Somebody asked the question, is Dr. York a dirty Moor? So, at the time of him claiming that he was Al-Mahdi and writing this book right here that we have up, Who is Noble Drew Ali, and him talking about Noble Drew Ali's a Mason and all that stuff, he was dirty, right? So, what we realize is that the majority of people who heard about or have some perspective of Dr. York or whatever is always going into some some Egyptian Masonic out of this planet, whatever. They're not going to put it to the point that he was exercising the nationality and the birthrights, the Moorish nationality and birthrights. But by the time he said time to exercise it, it was too late, because he should have been doing it from the jump. But it was still made public that he wasn't messing around with some black Ankh fez or whatever, right? He said Moorish fez up when he went to court. I don't care he had a lawyer, didn't have a lawyer, all that stuff is irrelevant. He went to the tribunal that this thing's going all across the world or whatever in the red fez, not the little Ankh BS. Why did he do that? Because he knows who the real prophet is. He knows he was playing games with the Al-Mahdi and all that. He knew he was in error.
Yeah.
But he also told all these Nuwabians, wear your mask of God. And they took that as just some little CD. Until he shows face in court with the red fez. No markings on it. Not playing around with all that other crap. No markings on it. No markings on the fez.
Didn't have the Pharaoh crown thing on, none of that.
What did he say? If you don't do anything else, what?
Proclaim nationality.
Oh, okay. At least he knew to do it. At least he knew
At
to do
least
it.
that.
At least he knew to do it. So while he was going out, you know what I mean? Guns blazing, he's screaming Noble Drew Ali's name. I give him honors for that. I'll give him honors for that. Messed up why he didn't just do it from the start, but going out, you went hard for the prophet. All right, cool. You went red fez, you didn't do the ankh. Oh, okay, all right. You'll get the pass. You'll get the pass on that one because we already know you didn't touch no children and all that stuff. We already know that's BS. Yeah, we already know that's BS.
Yeah, that whole thing was crazy too. But I like that. I appreciate that question. I did because I wanted that clarified too. Like I would like to know what years that book came out. The first one that he wrote about the prophet being a Mason, and then the year the book he wrote, you know, telling the truth about Noble Drew Ali. But did he ever write a book telling the truth about the prophet?
he just put out the Quran and all that.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
But and that one came after, right?
Yeah.
And I was just trying to see the years of that. It was a couple of things I always wanted to know about that. I'm glad he asked that. Or she. I'm not reading the chat.
Yeah, it's all good. There's two, I think like 80s or something.
The book came out in the 80s?
Mm-mm. The Quran was like 96 or something.
Okay.
And then the thing was like the 80s, the Drew Ali book.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's always wanted to know about that. Cause I never studied his information, but I do hear that he does have some great information.
Yeah, he's not faking with it. Like yeah, 1980, 80 to 88. So 1980. And then that's when he was saying that he's Al-Mahdi. He's the prophet. Everybody was Noble Drew Ali reincarnated. Everybody. Everybody said they were the prophet. Right? This is why he has the imagery blacked out. So he can be there. But again, he came to his senses later on. You know, and then that's when they really clamped down on him because they realized he wasn't playing at that point. But the Europeans were about to give him the land because of his status and them recognizing him as Yamasee chief. Like some Europeans who had land right there around that same area had acres that they were going to give to them. Right? And he's getting all that because of birthright, because of being a Moor. And there's pictures, Sharpton, Jesse, the whole crew on the land. You know? What you have to realize is everybody knows. You're the only dumb one who doesn't know yet. You're still playing around like you don't want to be Moors because Farrakhan didn't say we're Moors yet. All right. You wait for him. He's not waiting for you. I'll tell you that. You know. So because Dr. York brought out the fez and he didn't play around when spotlight was on him, all right. You'll get a little pass. You'll get a little pass. Because you came with the proper fez. Can't knock you.
It's not willing to research. They're not willing to write things that we've seen, you know, are it's not willing to research. They're not willing to write things that we've seen, you know, are
Yeah, there was a couple other timestamps that I wanted to listen to.
So people were like, well, how do you, because it's not dying and these temperatures are high in these different countries? They were correct. It was just he misspoke or he left out that little piece, which is the internal temperature, which is usually 98.6 degrees.
Okay.
So you have to get it to be higher naturally, running, cardio, etc. And also that will help to stimulate the breaking down of the fat and the mucus because now your bloodstream is pumping fast.
Now we pump.
Okay, and so the mucus comes up, you spit that out, drink lots of water. You know, you want to keep the blood flowing. Also, you want to make sure you get lots of B vitamins. B vitamins. Anything that you get, you want to get it that is plant-based. Veggie capsules. If you do capsules, you want to make sure you're eating lots of raw fruits and vegetables. Bell peppers. You want to make sure you get in your cucumbers. You want to get in your celery. Avocado, yeah, definitely. Yeah. You get your good your omega fatty acids with the avocado. Keep your skin looking nice, right? You want to make sure you get your oregano oil. Okay, start taking that. Black seed oil. You want to take that. You want to get astragalus. This is a very powerful root, astragalus. You want to take turmeric. You want to get limes. Limes, okay, preferably. If you got lemons, fine, but limes are stronger, they're more alkaline, etc. Right? Yeah, the queen. Yeah, right. She'll replay this whole thing. Come on, right there. Right. There are so many solutions, man. So many immune boosters. So many things. Elderberry. I mean, there's so many things you can take, and they're all affordable. Now, if you're in the hood and you have your EBT card or your food stamps, let's be real. Do not go take that and go buy a bunch of cereal and candy and all that. Cup of noodles, please.
Bro, all the stores is out of cup of noodles.
Bruh.
I'm like,
it's
bro,
like we in the penis. It's like we in jail or something.
Bro, we gotta go to Trader Joe's in the damn suburbs, feel like, to get some shit.
Yeah.
You go to food.
Yeah, it's like you're in jail or something because you've been under the Christian black codes forever. Because you keep claiming to be something that you're not, which puts you in a jurisdiction. We already know European mindset puts you in a particular jurisdiction. What does not know thyself mindset do for you? Where does that put you? Look at everybody else who knows their self. They know their culture, they know their calendar, they know all their stuff. They have their rituals when they're going to get married, whatever. And then there's these people who have a culture, they don't want it. For whatever reason, they don't want it. But then they're complaining about how come things are this way with us. Don't complain. Accept the obvious. Accept the reality so you can move on. Accept the reality so you can move on. Your own has sold you out. And they don't have no F's to give. Zero. They're straight. They're straight. Remember, they're up on Medicare fraud charges in the millions, and they're out here. Either their agent or the more stuff works. Either their agent or the more stuff, it really works. Because like we said, we know he has Moorish paperwork. We know that. He's not telling you he's a Moor. We know he's a Moor. That's why he talked how he talked in court.
Yeah.
And that's why he's out right now. And again, it could be a thing where, hey, you know what? I can help you with your case. All you got to do is send this paper in. And then that's it. And he just did that, and then everything worked, and he got out. All right. If that doesn't ring your bells to what's going on, then you're probably more asleep than you even think that you're asleep. Not even conscious yet. Talking about woke. You're not even near woke. Woke is knowing you're a Moor. You got nationality and birthrights. That's woke. Your nationality and birthrights, you're probably not even conscious. You're probably still asleep.
Some of them hitting that snooze button.
Snooze button. Stay hitting that snooze button. Or you have your own helping you hit the snooze button. So you stay asleep. Imagine your boy. You know what I mean? Y'all were just up the night before. Tomorrow's the big day or whatever. And you wake up 2 hours late because he hit the snooze button. So it'd let you sleep a little bit.
Yep.
And you're absolutely late for the big day. Whatever the big day is, you're late. You're not going to be there on time. You're the man or woman of the hour. And your friend hit the snooze button on you on the day when it was going to be the best day of your life. Snooze button. Even that's like, I was just going to say, even that's like some mental warfare. Snooze button will mess you up, huh?
Exactly. Yep. I was just about to bring that up. Yep.
You underestimate the snooze button.
Tell you.
Underestimate the snooze button.
And your boy hit the snooze button. Made you late, and that's the same thing that they're doing in reality. Because with them, when saying that, oh, they're not ready yet. Oh, that's the snooze button. That's snooze. You just hit the snooze button on them, and then when they got the people who know we're Moors, but then when that's at their convenience, they're Moors, but then they hit the snooze button and go back to being black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that snooze button, the worst one.
They love the snooze button. They love the snooze button. Love it. Just can't get up. So you set the alarm for 7:30 and you hit the snooze button 6 times. Why did you just get up at 8? Like, what are you doing? Why do you have to set it for 7:30? You hit the snooze button 6 times. Playing games. That's exactly what they're playing games. Hitting it, playing games. Playing games with the people's birthright. That's the whole thing. They lead the people all the way up. They talk a good game, and then leave you right there. Don't bring up, well, the remedy will be, if you go in there and proclaim, have a nationality, paperwork, etc. You know the remedy, but they don't teach none of that. Big Islam Grand Sheik.
Islam, right? I saw there was, I'm just going through the chat. That's why I told you put the, thanks Adrian for following the instructions, putting the questions in all caps. So I know what I'm searching for when I'm scrolling through. If you got questions, you put it in all caps so you can read it amongst all the other. That's what I saw, but my hand slipped. I can't find it. Okay. What could be one of my first steps into learning about Moorish nationality? All right, so the first thing you have to know is that your Moorish nationality is yours from birth. You just weren't told about it. So now that you know, it's a repossession of what was yours. So once you're looking at it from that perspective, nobody could sell it to you. You can't buy it from somebody. It's something that you have to acquire. It's something that, what could be my first steps into learning about Moorish nationality? Knowing yourself, knowing who you are, know about who all these people want you to be. Who are you? But with regard to your Moorish nationality. So one of the starting points that we tell people is studying, and studying from the right source, not studying from just anybody because you feel like, you know what I mean, learning something from them. No, going to the source and staying there and studying from there. That being your nucleus that you're branching out from. You're not branching out from somewhere else. rvbaypublications.com. Right? rvbaypublications.com. Now, when you go to this website, it's for you to learn. Whatever you learn, that's on you. I can't tell you what to learn or what you're going to learn, but I know you're going to learn something. And you start by studying about yourself. Knowing who you are as a Moor. What does that mean when we say we're Moors? There's so many things that means that you can't be told. You're going to research and find out what that means to you. Because it's your birthright. It's your $100 that you lost. You're going to spend it on what you want to. I don't care personally. You don't need to let me know. It's yours. Studying, one of the first things. Don't try to do anything yet. Don't see the line of weapons and then go for the one that you're least expert in first. Because you're going to end up injuring yourself and probably injuring everybody else around you. So first steps would imply that you're just getting into this information. You're just getting into this. Slow down, study, study, study. And when you study, and you said, yes, it's been 5 years, and you go find out, now what do I do? Before you even get here, I'll tell you now, go back and study yourself. And then get back. And I guarantee you get so far studying yourself that you'll just be calling me once a year to say, "Oh, Islam more, just checking to see how you're doing," because it's crazy out here. You tell me all these stuff that you did and that you're doing because all these different Moors that you met because you started being yourself. And you start being yourself the right way by learning about yourself first. The consultation gurus would not tell you this because then that gives up the whole game. The game is you need a guru. No, you're the guru. He's the gangster. You're the guru. It's not more.
Islam, Bobby Hemmett. I was listening to Bobby Hemmett the other day, and he was speaking on that. These people looking for a guru to follow. He said, don't you be out there trying to follow no guru or follow me. Don't follow me. I had you clipping my toenails, washing my windows in my house. I was like,
That's the right.
I say, yo, Bobby is the best. He's the best, man. My toenails and washing my house windows. I said, dang.
Bobby, we love you, Bobby. We love you, yo. Thank you.
I love it. I say, yo, that's right. You better be your own, man.
Thank you, Bobby.
You gotta be your own.
You. Thank you. Yeah, somebody asked about any minutes on the land mandate of the 1928 Havana, Cuba. So our research led us to the international artifacts at the Toronto Reference Library. And in there, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 conferences. Now, Drew was supposed to be at the 6th Pan American Conference, Havana, Cuba. There's mention of it. There's mention of that Pan American Conference, but lady at the reference library said that there's no reference as to why that one's not there. I think like 1 or 2 or something was missing as well. There was like 2, I think there was 2 of them that were missing. Now, from the picture, we know that he went. That's the only evidence we have. The only evidence we have is the picture, because it was something to document. And these are things that when you look at the Moorish paradigm, and you see the dirt that people did, that all this is supposed to be, just artifacts of our history as a people. It's not supposed to be some club thing. No, this is supposed to be history of our people in the Americas. So he's wearing his Panama. He has the flags. And This is all we have. They also have the some temples have the ship record. There's a ship record. The ship record showing Noble Drew Ali's name on it. But when we look at, things from a civic perspective, him having the holy book, but then in the holy book, putting the mandate in the holy book in one of the chapters. That's why he told Morris to seal the Qurans. So that that's the document. So he was holding that up at the convention. And then the 101 questionnaire was going to lead you to the Quran based on the things that were presented in the 101 questionnaire. Of you and Noble Drew Ali having this conversation one-on-one. If you get those lessons, you find out about Moabites and Canaanites and Amexim and all that, then now you have your Quran that you can reference. And then that's why I told you don't throw away the Bible, because then you're going to make reference again. But then you're going to be, looking up your metaphysical definitions and looking at everything from an esoteric perspective, because you know that Noble Drew Ali was a mystic. He wasn't just the guy doing some organization or whatever. And regardless of what the claim is, of how he looks, what his name is, whatever, you look at those lessons. You look at those lessons. Of him quoting that we're not Negro black color, and you look at stuff going on today, and it's only happening to blacks, and it's only happening to people under Negro acts, and playing oblivious. And you don't realize what really has been done. I think we need new Moorish American institutions of higher learning so that we can properly teach our people the right way to live. Yes, for sure. But that's what we should have had long time ago. Because all they had to do was carry on the tradition of what was laid down. We already had everything. Manufacturing companies, you know what I mean? We already had everything. Let's just look at, because, some of the reference that they make too is this thing about Dr. Sebi and, Layla Africa and that. And again, skip over Noble Drew Ali, who was a holistic doctor too. Right? Does this sound like somebody who is not about holistic health and nutrition? Health and happiness prolongs life. Moorish bodybuilder and blood purifier for men, women, and children. Beneficial for rheumatism, lung trouble, rundown constitutions, indigestion, and loss of manhood. Price, 50 cents. Moorish mineral oil. Moorish mineral and healing oil, $1. Moorish antiseptic bath compound. Beneficial for dandruff, rheumatism, stiff joints, tired and sore feet, also skin troubles when used as a face wash. Price 50 cents. Prepared only by the Moorish Manufacturing Corporation. Noble Drew Ali founder. 3603 Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. That's where the Moorish Manufacturing Corporation used to be. Anybody who's at Chicago. 3603 Indiana Avenue. Go there, see what's there now. And ask yourself, where's your stuff? Testimonials. To the Moorish Mineral and Healing Oil. I've been suffering for some time with my throat, and I used everything that I knew of. Finally, I heard of the Moorish Mineral and Healing Oil. Then I purchased one bottle and used it according to the direction, and now I feel like a young girl. Yours truly, Miss Beatrice Bird. 13th West 26th Place, Chicago, Illinois. So you can go check, see if she still lives there, her family lives there or something, and find out if Miss Beatrice did she really know the Prophet and was using her stuff. '15th West 26th Place. 15th West 26th Place, Chicago, Illinois. To the Moorish Mineral and Healing Oil. I've been suffering with my lungs for more than 7 years. Nothing seemed to do me any good until using one bottle of the Moorish Mineral Healing Oil. Now I feel like a new woman, and every woman needs to use this wonderful healing oil. Yours truly, Miss Estella Woodson. I have been sick for 12 years with bronchial asthma of the upper larynx. I have had 9 different doctors in various states, and I used every drug medicine I heard of, and I am now well from using the application and medications of the Divine Prophet, and I feel as well as I have ever felt before. I hope this may be some good to anyone that is suffering with any kind of disease. If you are sick, use the Moorish treatments and get well. Yours sincerely, Brother Luke Bell Bay. 4155 Vorde Street, Vorde Street, Detroit, Michigan. Right, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago. So all these testimonials of people taking Noble Drew Ali's lessons, his holistic lessons, and being healed. Islam more. I even see you there.
Islam, Grand Sheik.
I was busy watching something else. What's good, More?
No, I'm listening. Peace, Brother Yusuf. Peace, Grand Sheik. How y'all doing?
Everything's peaceful, man. You already know, bro.
Good. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, it's all right. I just looked up and saw you on there, so I said let me just bring you on. But I was pretty much done though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you weren't necessarily covering that, but covering. I just had a couple things that I wanted to share, and I really think that
please
I
do.
would, if you don't mind, I don't want to tell you how.
More. Or you're not taking any time.
I want to recommend a book. I want to do a recommendation, Story of Nations, and the Moorish Nation is covered in here. So for anybody that has anything to say, again, we all have to have weapons in our arsenal. And so rather than sit on it, I've been kind of going, when I don't share, certain things, then I don't. It just don't feel right to have certain things that and maybe someone else will their thoughts and their experiences might take the same thing I'm reading, and it might what can I say? They can shed more light on it. So, Story of Nations by Rogers, Adam, and Brown, and this is let me see, by Lester B. Rogers. And so, Story of Nations, Moors are in here everywhere. And there's that's just
you
just a
have
good.
you have a little piece in there that you can read. You have anything folded?
No, I'm not gonna hold it. Let me get to it. I wanted to cover. I had a couple other.
If you have something in there, you could put that out.
Yeah, it's not anything that we don't already know. I just know too. Even in knowing that, it helps me to go back and kind of solidify my position, because I know that we are all up against. The prophet said that the media is the press, or the media is the strongest tool, or the strongest weapon in the hands of our people, and so they've been controlling the subversive operators have been controlling the narrative for so long, and so it's important for even us being Moors to continue to solidify certain concepts in our heads, so that we don't get lost in the sauce. Because I know there's plenty of distractions, and there are plenty of things that have been put in play for us to get sidetracked, or question ourselves, and with everyone taking with so many taking a stance against our people, it's easy to get trapped in the feelings of depression or loneliness. Even with that knowledge of self, I like to think that people are, for the lack of a better word, have a herd mentality. So we're good. We can do it by ourselves, and we can accomplish a lot by ourselves. However, we work better together. So I know that it's important for us to continue to solidify those concepts, even though in any event, let me find. I'm trying to. I should have just went ahead and I'm trying to find it. Usually I have a marker.
You're gonna mark that one.
I got so many markers in you see how many markers I got in the book. So go bananas. I'm kind of past the point where everybody been to that point where they damn near highlight the whole page. Like, oh man, it's bananas, Green Sheet. I got the.
Those are the good ones. Those are good ones.
I'm not even playing games. I'm talking about the whole page. It was highlight. Like, what's this guy doing? Let's see. I know that a couple lives ago we covered the fact that we didn't take over. Yeah, more than take over anything when we're talking in respect to the ancestors that were in the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, or what have you. Then there's a tendency to, they took over something. No, it was things weren't being maintained and done in the form and fashion that we do it, and so we had to go back and we had to go back into what was already ours and take care of business. So let me see.
Why are you looking for that?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let me find that. It wasn't anything in particular, really. It's just more settled and civilized Spain, when other Europeans were dressed in the skins of animals and in coarse clothing. The Moors wearing bright silks, cotton cloth, and fine linens. That's on page 475. This scene is typical of the beautiful gardens planned by the Moors. The Moors were masters in designing mosaics, such as can be seen around the fountain of the curve. Let's see. A writer of this period who sympathized with the Goths gives this description of the Moors and their victory. The reins of their horses were as fire, their faces black as pitch, their eyes shone like burning candles. Their horses were swift as leopards, and the riders fiercer than a wolf in sheepfold at night. The noble Goths were broken in an hour, quicker than a tongue can tell. Oh, luckless Spain. You know, the Moorish scholars established schools and libraries. Some of the caliphs were noted scholars and authors. Most of them encouraged schools and learning. The place of the caliph had a library with thousands of books. There were books on algebra, astronomy, music, and poetry. Poetry was so popular in Spain at this time that even declarations of war were put into rhyme. One can realize how large was the library of the caliph when he reads that 40 books were needed to catalog the names of all the volumes. It is interesting also to note that these books were written on paper at a time when the monks in Italy and France were copying their manuscripts on parchment. Libraries were founded in the towns, and public schools were established in the mosque where children of the poor were taught to read and write. The children of the wealthy were sent to private academies and later to universities. In the universities, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, and even botany were studied. Since they had special training in agriculture, the Moors were very skillful in growing fruits and flowers. The peach and other new fruits were brought from Asia, and fragrant flowers were raised in the gardens. For many years, southern Spain was rich and prosperous. Oh yeah, it just goes in. So I'll be reading till next week. You know how the list of the accomplishments. You start another life.
So much.
And that is again story of nations. Pick that up. Here's another one. Nothing really in particular in here. That's just one of those you have to go into yourself. Notarizing for international use. There were some. It's definitely like I said, nothing specific. It deals with how we do, and so this is definitely elevated level. Signer competency. You can see. So that is crucial. Let me go ahead and just read the comprehension is the faculty of understanding, especially of writing or speech. Competency or capacity means the mental ability to understand problems and make decisions. A person may well have normal mental or intellectual ability, i.e. competency, but may not fully or properly comprehend, i.e. understand the terms and conditions of a legal document. Equally, a person may be suffering from a mental illness or a degree of intellectual impairment, but still may understand the nature and effect of a legal document he or she is being asked to sign. In the United States, no state or territory directly or indirectly imposes an obligation on notaries to screen signers for actual comprehension, nor is there any common law duty for notaries to do so. So that kind of just touches on a big problem abroad, and especially with our community, is that comprehension. So that is by Peter Zablud, Notarizing for International Use, a guide for American notaries, attorneys, and public officials. So that one is
comprehension, right? Comprehension.
Comprehension. Hey, you see, you got the seal, got seals on there, and everything. How we do it? Back to the basics.
Right. Now,
So
just on the whole point of the comprehension. So when we're saying we research as Moors, when we research and we find things like this, what are we supposed to do? Right.
Right.
The coincidence in 1492 of the expulsion of the Moors from the peninsula and the discovery of the New World links Moors and Indio together in Spanish natural history and consciousness, a point underscored by the presence of Moors in a play about Columbus. Moreover, the well-established traditions of Christian Spain's struggle against the Moors were carried over to the campaigns in the Americas. Criticizing Todorov for failing to consider the influence of Spanish history on contemporary Renaissance views of Native Americans, Roberto González Echevarria points out that the Spaniards had prepared themselves for this complex military, political, and social event, the American conquest, in the wars of reconquest against the Arabs. These wars, which lasted for 8 centuries and culminated when the Catholic kings took Granada in 1492, had been very much like the campaigns Cortes waged against Montezuma. The kind of holy war the Spaniards waged against the Indians was a reflection of the holy war the Arabs led against the Spaniards, when Santiago, as the counterpart of Muhammad, the polemics of how to treat a different culture that had been defeated did not begin with Montesino's sermon, but in recently conquered Granada. Right? So if they're going to look at the conquest of the Americas, there's a villain. And then the conquest of Granada, and then there's a villain. And the villain took advantage of somebody else. And then they're relating these two people. How come they never say that the colonists are different? How come they always put the colonists in the same boat, but they never put the people on the other side of the colonists in the same boat? They always separate them. Again, where it's obvious that if the Native Americans were going through all this with the Spaniards and the Moors being conquered, and the Native Americans are relative to the Moors in the story, all your Aboriginal whoever's are playing it, because all of them know that we're Moors.
Mm-hmm.
All of them know that we're Moors.
Playing games. Oh, so the worst kind, Grand Sheep. Oh.
Shame on them.
Yeah, and I got something for that too.
One more. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. And this is Plural Society in the British West Indies. Book I was speaking about, and I wanted to read a couple excerpts just to let it sink in, in reference to just in case for 2 seconds we don't think about, or we get lost in so many other directions that we stick to the script and know that no matter how good some people may speak, we know that there's some things that are not. It's purposeful, and we have people that look just like us, you and I, that are continuing to help promote this. And so this is page 192 of the problem of organizing community support. And like I said, I'm just read come where it goes. Let's see. A village is or should be a community. Its leaders are the educated, better off members, such as the teacher, justice of the peace, parson, overseer, property owner, large shopkeeper, and the like. The village community is strong as its active groups. Hence, to establish our branch or program in this village successfully, we must enlist the support of those persons who are the leaders of these established groups. Or if no groups have yet been established, we must establish ours with those persons who would normally have been leaders of such groups. So just reading that right there tells you that, they go, colonists have used this tactic for a very long time of going to people that going to Moors that look like, you and I, whether they know it or not, that, to further the agenda. And a great book that talks about that. I let the neighbor borrow it, and I've been trying to get the book back just because it does. It covers some of those principles. Captive Passage. I can't tell you who it's by right now, but it's a long book, and it's a longer book, and it talks about the fact that our people were very aware of nationality. Now they might be known as a Black English somewhere, or quote unquote Indian over here. And so our people going port to port, we were all over the place in our trade. And that's one of the things that, hey, depending on what was going on at the time, we were still aware of that national presence. And it's still, and it uses those words. And this is the book is by the Smithsonian's Mariners Museum. And so the pictures, color pictures and everything. So it's great. So that's another book. I wanted to throw that out there, and that's Captive Passage. And it should be the Smithsonian Mariners Museum. So check that book out, Nobles. Let's see. Let's go. Commodity or cooperative associations and others. This is the common set of assumptions, the philosophy on which branches of national organizations are founded locally. The serious misconceptions on which this approach is based are obviously immediately when reference is made to our model of community organization. It has been shown above that the village is not normally a true community, but a heterogeneous collection of sectors of various communities which border upon it. In Jamaican rural areas, villages are the organizational and distributional centers for the hinterlands they service. Consequently, community councils organized on the basis of villages service artificial units. Because the village is not a community, it does not provide a sound basis for the development of community council. Similarly, the proposition quoted above to the effect that the village is as strong as its active groups is a combination of fallacies. Since the village is not a true community, its assessment in terms of strengths or weaknesses of community integration or sentiment is scarcely relevant. Furthermore, the activity of active groups within villages normally bears little correspondence with the actual community boundaries. Leadership of the interest groups concerned, whether quote unquote active or not, is normally exercised by salaried immigrants, such as teachers and others who are often marginal to the community system of social relations. Consequently, organization of village committees or community councils upon the basis of these formal associations multiplies the artificially inherent in such structures, with consequent difficulties in enlisting or maintaining community interest and support. In other words, misconceptions of the nature and form of, they use Jamaican rural as an example, Jamaican rural communities, combined with misconceptions of the relation of formal associations to these communities, have led to artificial organizations of councils for quote unquote communities, which are themselves artificial constructs. The difficulties such an approach imposes on effective field work by development and welfare officers are obvious. And so let me read one more. Okay. This differential knowledge is quite easily ascertained if local class divisions and relations are discussed with people in these areas in detail, like Moors do. And information is sought about individual representatives of a different strata. The informer's range of knowledge can easily be mapped by suggesting the names of people drawn from different parts of the locality, and by testing the informant's capacity to give detailed information about these persons. People generally know their own community and its personnel in considerable detail, although they may be unwilling to talk or to tell the truth, but they tend to be vague and less well-informed about adjacent communities, since visits are rarely exchanged across these boundaries, and since inter-community ties are individual and specific rather than general or diffuse. And so that just, again, that's just something else that's one of the many things that stood out to me. And that, you know, you're gonna ask, you can go talk to these people, and now some will come out and blatantly tell you once they know where your energy is at. You know, they know that you have your head on straight. But you know, for the most part, it just talks about how, you know, people are duped again, and it goes deeper. It goes deeper into that. It talks about the caste system, and you know, right on down the line. And so, again, I gotta put this on the. It's gotten to the point now where you ever visit. Yeah, I know some people gotta feel me when some books are too much for you at first, and then you spend more time looking up every other word, and then you finally just have to put that book down. I've had to put books away and then visit them like 6 months later when I've advanced in my vocabulary or advanced in my comprehension of, you know, general principles and language. You know, we can't get past that, and grammar, just so simple things. We spoke about it, and how we can read things that, you know, we could read a book that we read in the 4th grade, and we can read it now, and it makes all the difference, just because we have the science behind it. And you know, I got another thing, Grand Sheet, just to, you know, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, I got a cut, went right, cut left. I'm coming out the Internal Revenue, United States Code Service. So don't argue with Moors. We didn't make that up for all the dirty Moors that want to continue to bootlick and bootlick and misinform our people. The United States is a country, and you know, we're subject to that. And learn Moors know that, you know, that's part of the British Empire. So U.S. citizens are British subjects. This is page 1623. Generally, taxes paid, end quote, include taxes paid to Great Britain by British corporation on income derived in United States, as against contention that tax paid was mere deduction from dividends paid to stockholders. In paying tax, corporation was not merely agent of stockholder on grounds that under British statute, corporation could deduct from dividends declared credit for payment of tax equal to tax paid at the current rate for year in which dividend was paid. Now, this is Welch versus St. Helens Petroleum Company, 1935. So that's we can do some correlation between the years or what have you. And listen to this about the commissioner of the Internal Revenue. Or whenever you read commissioner, it is probably speaking about from the Internal Revenue Service process. And to add a quick side note, I know that there are people, a lot of our people tend to get caught up in the processes and whatnot. And so your brother Yusuf was saying earlier that he could tell he got books from European libraries. And so the part of the problem is that we don't know the enemy like the enemy knows us, and because we don't know who we are. And so when it comes to finance, and I kind of had to lean more towards birthright, because I was getting caught up in I was focused too much on the commercial aspect of things, as opposed to now that's important that we stay well versed in our studies. Don't get me wrong. Just when it comes to exercising, that birthright and nationality, it's good to know that the finance of the financial part of things, and but it's just important to stick to the divine first, and then national part. You always talk about that and hammer that home, and I really think that is important to keep the divine first from the ego standpoint, for one, because I know that you get I think that we all can see certain Moors now and how they have it almost seems, now this is from personal, this is I know that I'm not the only one who feels the same way. You get to a certain knowledge base, or you get to certain agrees or degrees, then all of a sudden I'm the man, and nobody can tell me shit, and all that. And so that divine is important to go ahead and stay grounded, like we were talking about it the live, when we talk about crystals, and we talk about those things physically and connotatively, spiritually grounded. That's really important that we stay, we keep the focus on that. And it's not about me. It's not about look at me and what I can do. And, I don't give a damn what the prophet said, or, any of that mess. It's disrespectful. And, those people, I like to think they get their just due, but however, karma is a little bit too small. She's too slow for me. And so I know that's lower self thinking, but I see the people, our people are suffering, and it's people, you're supposed to love your brother. And, I do love my brothers and sisters. However, I don't think about taking a literal scimitar over their head. So I just wanted to add that in there.
You have to have the however in there, because
right. And so, but yeah, let me read this. This is the commissioner of the Internal Revenue, or whenever they reference commissioner.
Right.
Commissioner properly placed limitations up on deduction for British income taxes of British insurance company other than life or mutual, which was member of a consolidated group. Maximum allowance determined by applying British income tax rate to such companies' actual United States net income without deduction for British income taxes, and exclusive of United States income from which British tax was withheld at the source. Union assurance Society versus United States, 1943. And I see a lot of these cases where they just come on right out and just they come right out with it. You know, a lot of those cases were around, you know, 29, 30, 33, 40s, you know, all those that was still I think that the Service Corporation was still reeling from all the things that the prophet brought forth to the people. And so I see that correlate within the Internal Revenue Code and the finances. So that's why I say we can't forget about because the commercial aspect of things is huge. You know, it's a lot of history, and I got the whole volume. So, you know, I got all the volumes, and so yeah, it's crucial and really seeing what we're going through day to day, knowing that, you know, finance is really a place that is affecting us. Brother Commit to You said that, well, and I actually read it too, where it says the criminal and civil law are both criminal and civil law are predicated on the Internal Revenue Code. And so even within looking at reading into the quote unquote the states individual constitutions that just I think it adds another form of protection when it comes to, you know, banging on the people who are, you know, been banging on us. And so that is I don't know, did I tell you that case law? I don't know if I did or not. Union Insurance Society versus United States. So it's just directly making a correlation between those two case laws, Welch versus St. Helens Petroleum Company, and Union Insurance Society versus United States, 1943. Those are among many cases that expose and tell it exactly for what it is, and it's not something that we said. It's in their stuff. Internal Revenue Code, it's in their stuff, and so that's important to have that fundamental basis too, because people are just, you know, they own us heavy. So, you know, I don't want to take too much, but I just wanted to put a couple of things out there. Oh, you know me, Grand Sheet.
Thank you, Mark.
Immigration and citizenship, boy. Like Weekend at Bernie's, when you read some of this stuff, it just for it to map it out. That's another one. Immigration, citizenship, Journal of American History. They tore like 14 pages out of this book. I could tell by the surrounding pages that I got to end up getting this book for free, because I went through it and it was like 14 pages. It's like 14 pages missing out of this book, and it was just going in. It was going in so swell. I don't know if you can see it. Check that out.
Just
missing. Missing. They tore out like 14 pages. Yeah, they went in. And it's for the black guys. Let's see. The cornerstone of the pro-slavery ideology was the belief that blacks were innately suited to be slaves and largely accepting of their fate. To quote J. William Harris, every defender of slavery as a stabilizer of republicanism drew attention to God's providential wisdom in having stamped Africans, quote, doomed to perpetual servitude. Further, since blacks were happy and contented with their degraded status, they had no desire to change it. They would not rebel.
No desire to change it.
None.
That's what that black status will do for you.
Yeah, hey, it goes in about status all day long. I venture to say what was on the 14 pages they took out, but you know, you see it for yourself. I had to grab that. So that's just one of the things that, again, we have to keep studying. It's easy to be on YouTube, and it's easy to, you know, see the turban and see the fez and know that, you know, hey, our people within even within the realm of people we wouldn't consider dirty Moors, we can't take people's word for it, because that's the same apathy that landed our people in this position.
Yeah.
And not only that, but allows outsiders who want to continue to subjugate our people to find a window for or find a window or a back doorway to try to get in and infiltrate these movements, and the people not hold them accountable, because the people on a family basis and on a personal level haven't continued to put that work in and put the study in to know not only thyself, but how that corresponds to, you know, how we're treated and how that corresponds to the actions as a whole. And so that is I can't, we always stress to study. You know, I think it's important too to, you know, explain why. And you know, we can't forget the past. We see how not knowing the past, we are Moors know, dirty or not, how not having certain information not brought forth to our people, how that is injurious. That's injurious to us. And so if we want to hold these grand governors and grand sheiks and grand sheikesses, and we want to hold these people accountable on at this stage in the game, we have to continue to do our due diligence, because as much as, you know, it's not just the one, it's the one, everybody doing their part. You know, I played baseball from the time I was 7 to the time I was 27. And one of the things, it was an individual team sport. And our coach, Jimmy Young, worry about self. They worry about yourself. You know, he worry about self. And that one of the things that he stressed to us. Individually, we all have a position to play and a job to do. We all can't play the same position. However, if every one of us do our part, then, you know, we let the chips fall where they may. And in law, everything being specific, then we have the luxury. We have the luxury of that. I'm facting everything to death, man. Everybody, you know, when they say, oh, that you, in the law, it's safe, because you know that is, oh, that's just pun. No, that's the law is specific. Yeah. And so I love that aspect of it, and it gives us a chance to really shine and thrive and use the system that has been, you know, subjugating us for so long. And, you know, just stick to the facts, which is why I don't see the apprehension, because it's not like, you know, that things can't be information put forth can be weighted and measured consistently. So for people to argue with us, I think it's more of a reflection of the fact that, hey, these people won't be able to get in those pockets anymore, and we won't be looking to one to save us all. We're the only people to look for a leader, brother or sister, whoever, for their salvation, when it's the salvation of all of us doing our part.
Exactly.
So, Islam,
brother Yusuf, you still there? Islam, more. You got anything to add before we close up?
Getting them apples?
Islam, boy. I was listening to you give all that information away, man. You know, I love when I always say, I love when the Moors come on here.
Yeah.
Because I've been over here stuck on. I've been over here stuck on since the Grand Sheik mentioned those addresses earlier about when Noble Drew Ali was setting up.
Right.
3603 Indiana Avenue. I've been stuck on that whole street this whole time too, researching. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what was going on back then, to see the architecture and all of that. Everything was going on. So as soon as you said that, I said, oh, I got to go look that up. Mm-hmm. And then the more it came in, I was listening to him give the class, doing the research. I said, oh, this is a beautiful thing right here.
I got to have it. Oh, yeah. And it got the, in this one, I'm surprised they didn't tear that out too. It's got the got the Indians with the feds on,
Yeah.
quote unquote, Moors. You know, we know how it is. I'm just putting that out there. So yeah. Journal of American History.
Yeah.
Volume 77, number 3, December 1990. Putting that out there. Islam.
Islam Moors. You know how it goes every Tuesday. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Real quick, Green Sheik. Yeah, the 3603 Indiana Avenue in so-called Chicago, Illinois, where the prophet was. I guess that's where the headquarters was at. I think that's what you had said. I didn't even write it down.
3603.
Yep, Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. Well, the building's no longer there. It's just an empty lot. They tore it down.
No wonder.
It hurt my heart to see that. I said, dang, man, they tore it down. And the dirty Moors let them do it. Because it would have still been standing.
It would have still been standing.
Man. 100 years from now.
And then the prophet was in, Unity Hall in Chicago, Illinois. That was on the same street on Indiana Avenue.
Yeah.
Bugged me out. I didn't know that. It was right down the street. And it's still there right now, right? And it first started with Oscar the Priest. He was there in 1917 with a group called the Movement, the something Movement, and I was like, yo, that's crazy because the prophet came and you became senator or whatnot, and I was like, yo, that's all crazy. Like y'all was all connected. And then when you go look at the building, the whole thing is it's a Moorish castle. You could go look at it. I was like, yo. And then when you look at the building, the Unity Hall, it exactly looks like what they say it was built in 1887. And I was like, well, how the heck did the Moor buy the castle almost like 15 years later? You know what I mean? Like 20, 30 years later. You know what I mean? And I was like, dang, man, like if that's the case, because it's a Moorish castle. I know it said it was built for a Jewish social club. I said they built the Moorish castle for a social club.
And flipped it.
I know y'all just lied.
And flipped it.
So, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No, that was you. Go ahead.
Because if you go ahead and look it up, Unity Hall is still right there, man. It's bugging me out. It looks just like a Moorish castle. Right? Like right now, Moore should look that up. Look up because the prophet was there. And it's still standing right now. And I seen like Moore still go there every year and take pictures and whatnot. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know none of that neither.
Yeah, as you know. You know about the history, yo.
All of that from the address. But when you go look up, so you go type in ancient pictures of Chicago, Illinois, Indiana Avenue, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to see what the street looked like.
Yeah.
I don't know which house is the prophet's. I mean, I don't know because you can't. It doesn't have the numbers up there like that. But if you look at all the architecture, the whole street is Moorish. The whole thing has Moorish castles, pillars, all type. I was like, yo, this is crazy. The whole thing. I was just amazed. I was like, yo, this is what they was in. They was in this. Buildings made brand new. Y'all was in brand new Moorish castles.
Yeah.
So called.
Not even some rundown. Brand new.
But all of that from that, just the address you gave me, she bugging me out right now. Got me going crazy. I'm telling you, for real, man. Like, cause I seen all that, I was like, yo, how was he there? Prophet is the man.
The man.
Mm-hmm.
Islam, Grand Sheik.
Islam, Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors, wherever you're at. Islam, Moor, give thanks for the build once again.
Islam. I appreciate it, Grand Sheik.
Yeah, Islam, man.
Islam, Yusuf. I know that I get a little ahead of myself. I just want to share it all. You know, I had to learn how to
Right.
fall
That's
back a little
the
bit. So
shit.
you have to forgive me for I'm a little overzealous.
Oh, you're good, bro. You're good. Sometimes we need some overzealous, yo. We need some long slaps sometimes.
Hey, John, was it John Wick in the library? The movie type, you know. That's more my style, man. Beat them up. So, you know, I just know that, you know, too, you know, people, I don't know why people think it's some religious thing, and you know, we're holy, and you know, we've accepted the fact. We've not only accepted the fact there's more that we are not perfect. We're trying to obtain that perfection in a sense, but that doesn't keep us from having fun. You know, we all came from some train or some school of thought beforehand. So, you know, I don't as much as I see that it's okay to be. You got your reserve mores. That's fine. I'm more of a, you know, I'm like out there. I'm smiling. I'm loving life as much as, you know, get beat up. You know, people trying to beat you up and steal your birthrights and do everything else. You know, that can get you down. However, you know, through, you know, Canaanland Moors, this has been it's a huge platform, and I feel the support even from, you know, just to know that there are other Moors out there that they want better for our people, that want better for our children from a social, political, and economic standpoint, and from a divine standpoint. You know, it's therapeutic for me to be able to come to the platform, even in the chat, and build with certain Moors, and get those reference points, and get those lessons, and hear those things, and be able to examine and put our own interject places and people and language that are colorable and slanderous and liable to our people, because that's why it goes back to what the prophet said is the media being, or the press being, the strongest or one of the strongest weapons in the hands of our people. And I just want to give thanks to you, sir, and give thanks to you, Grand Sheik, and you know, the Moors in the chat for, you know, just for that unity that people say that we don't have. And you know, we all process things differently, and that's a key component. So when and I think about church when they said, oh, the fellowship, that is important. That's crucial to us, and that accountability as well. You know, like certain
Omar right now.
Right. You know, that holding each other accountable, not just the fellowship, not just, you know, it's not just about feeling good. It's about like, okay, what's the next step in that remedy, and not continuing to move forward, but not losing the grasp that we have on those basic principles that the prophet and many others, or I won't say a select few, I should say, brought back to us, the prophet and Noble Drew Ali in particular, as it relates to our everyday life. So, yeah, it's long.
And don't forget, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. MHHS Eyes Wide Open. 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. And don't forget, you can also check the Canaanland Moors Instagram. You can email canaanlandguide@gmail.com if you got any questions. And, you know, if you want some hip hop, you know, willofallah.com. We got a little something over there. And Khalifa Media. You can get all of Grand Sheik's books. KhalifaMedia.com. Islam Moors, peace and love. Give thanks again for a great session. Peace and love to all. Islam to the chat, Moors. Islam to all the mothers out there.
The mothers, boy.
Don't forget the boat has left the dock.
The mothers.
Islam was.
Islam Grand Sheik.